Hey, Sonia! I have a teeny weeny little favor to ask you. This week's edition of the weekly manga magazine I like is going on sale today. Everyone's super hyped about it. Go and buy me it, okay?
Hey, Veronica. I'm really sorry, but I'm at work today, so I can't do that.
Oh, come on! Don't be like that! You get breaks, don't you? It only take you 5 minutes to go to the convenience store.
You make it sound so simple. But it takes me an hour and a half to get to the nearest convenience store and back. You're right, I do get breaks, but they're not that long.
Oh, stop it, Sonia. You're just being argumentative on purpose now. Go get me my magazine. Oh, and make sure you don't get the monthly one by mistake. It's the weekly one I want. Weekly, you got that?
Go buy it yourself. You got that?
Ugh, you're so annoying.
The only time you left the house this year was to go to that manga convention half a year ago, wasn't it? You should really make more of an effort to leave your room sometimes. The sunlight would do you good.
Like I said, stop being argumentative. Just go and buy my magazine.
I can't get away from work. Besides, I take it I'd be the one paying for it?
You're saying you can't afford $2? After reading last week's edition of Demon Sprayer, I can barely contain myself. I just have to read the next one. Apparently, the main character's gonna learn a new breathing attack. I want to read it now.
Like I said, if you want to read it so badly, go buy it yourself. There's a convenience store like 2 minutes away from your house, isn't there?
Going outside is such a drag.
How can going outside and walking for 2 minutes be a drag? I'm going back to work.
No, wait! You're such a tightwad, Sonia. Ugh! I didn't get to read this week's edition. This is all your fault, Sonia. You disgust me.
So you didn't end up going out to buy it?
I asked Mom to go and pick it up for me, but she bought the weekend edition by mistake. This is why I asked you. She doesn't know what she's looking for. I was at my wit's end, so I asked Dad when he got home from work instead. But he bought the freaking children's edition. Is it seriously so difficult to go out and buy a comic book from the convenience store? Why is everyone in this family so useless?
It's just like they say. If you want something done properly, do it yourself. Don't you understand why it might be difficult for someone who doesn't read manga to differentiate between different editions?
Maybe so, but the only reason I asked them in the first place is because you were being too much of a tightwad to get it for me.
I told you I was at work. There was nothing I could do about it.
5 minutes wouldn't have hurt you.
Maybe if you'd had a single job in your life, you'd understand why what you're saying is ridiculous. You're 38 years old. Your dad's gonna be retiring to live off his pension next year. Don't you think it's about time you stopped being a neat shut-in and maybe started looking for a job or a husband? I think it's about time you started getting your life together and seriously thinking about the future. That is, if it's already not too late.
Ugh, shut up! You're so annoying!
Okay, I see. I'm annoying, am I? Here's the thing. I'm not gonna change my mind, and I'm just gonna carry on saying the exact same things to you. So if I'm really that bad, I recommend you just stop speaking to me.
What? You really think the fact you happen to have a job and some money makes you special? Don't you? Get off your high horse, you condescending weasel! Hey, are you there? Please, respond!
Hey, Sonia, you got a minute?
Huh? Brett? Are you off work today?
Yeah, I went on one of my days off to help out with a staff shortage, so they gave me today off instead.
Oh, I see.
Anyway, listen, sis. I had a really weird phone call at work, and there's something I want to ask you.
What is it?
How do I even ask this? So, you know that comic book that's really popular right now, Demon Slayer?
Yes? My son has the standalone book, so I'm no expert, but I do know about it.
Well, apparently some strange woman cosplaying as one of the main characters showed up at the office and told the receptionist she was my girlfriend.
What the hell?
Apparently, when she heard it was my day off, she walked off looking all dejected. Before that, when the receptionist asked her name, she said it was Veronica Watson. But isn't that your sister-in-law? The shut-in who does nothing but read comic books and never leaves the house?
What? You're joking.
Isn't she almost 40?
She's 38, going on 50. Decades of sunlight deprivation and subsisting solely on a diet of potato chips and cola has not been kind to her.
I'm pretty sure I've only ever met her once, you know? That one time at your wedding? I really don't think we're familiar enough for her to be going around telling people she's my girlfriend.
Yeah, you're 100% right.
My boss started teasing me when he phoned me to tell me what happened. So that's the kind of girl you're into, Brett? I can't believe it. You have no idea how embarrassing this is.
Ugh, just what the hell is my sister-in-law playing at? Has she lost her mind? Oh, I'm sorry.
Nah, it's cool. It's not your fault. Don't apologize. I just don't want anything to do with her, that's all. I prefer she stayed away from me from now on.
Yeah, of course. I totally understand that. If she ever tries coming near you again, feel free to say whatever you like to her. Or even run away. Running away is fine too. I'll warn her. I'll make it clear she needs to leave you alone.
Alright, thanks. I'm counting on you, sis.
Veronica? I have a bone to pick with you.
Oh, Sonia, perfect timing. I need to ask you a favor.
Buy your own freaking comic books.
Huh? Comic books? Nothing's even going on sale today, you dweeb.
Well, what favor do you want to ask me then?
So it's like this. I want you to arrange a date for me.
A date? Are you looking for a husband now?
I want to go as far as saying I'm looking for a husband. But I've been doing a lot of thinking since our conversation the other day. And I think you're right. I'm not getting any younger, and I can't go on relying on mom and dad forever. Things could end up getting difficult for me if I don't get my butt in gear. Guess what? I had a stroke of genius.
A stroke of genius?
So, you have a little brother, right? Brett! I heard he graduated university with high honors this year and immediately got a job at a prestigious major company. Is that true?
Well, yeah, it is, but why? What does my brother have to do with anything?
Me and him are gonna get married.
What?
Don't you think it's just the best idea? I'm so clever, I even surprise myself sometimes.
Wait, no way. Is that why you showed up at his company and pleaded with the receptionist to bring him out to you?
It may have something to do with it. I wanted to arrange a date, but the problem was, I didn't know his number. That's why I had no choice but to go and see him directly at work. Unfortunately, he wasn't there today. My hopes were dashed this time, but the fire of my determination yet burns brightly.
Veronica! Just wait a second. You do know, don't you? Brett is 23 years old. You're 38.
Yep, I know.
What? You're pulling these crazy shenanigans while fully being aware of the 15-year age gap?
If I'm gonna get married, it only makes sense that I bag myself a promising young hunk.
What?
Plus, when I looked through all the group photos back from that time we met at the wedding, I realized he looks just like my favorite anime character. I never noticed when we met, but wow, it's uncanny. They're even the same age. If this isn't fate, I don't know what is.
Oh, good God. Is that why you were cosplaying as an anime character when you barged into his office demanding to see him?
I thought it would make a stronger impression on him.
Veronica, I'm really not sure if that's the kind of impression you want to leave on someone.
On top of all that, if I marry him, I'm guaranteed never to have to worry about money for the rest of my life. What with him working at a prestigious major company and all. I can live in a perpetual ease and luxury as his stay-at-home housewife. I'll never have to work a day in my life. He ticks all the boxes. My dream man. We can live in a big detached house with a garden and a pond. We could even hire a gardener and some maids. Oh, I get butterflies in my stomach just thinking about it. Our dream life.
As long as you know it's just a dream.
Huh? Oh, let me guess. You don't think we deserve to be happy because there happens to be a slight age gap, is that it? There are tons of couples with 15-year age gaps these days. Get with the times already. It's like the old saying goes, when you truly love someone, age is just a number.
Yeah, sure, but that only applies when both parties are willing participants in the relationship.
How do you know he won't be? We haven't even met properly yet.
That's not the point! You shouldn't even be getting your hopes up because it's not happening! Ugh, there's no way I'd ever introduce an arrogant, entitled, self-destructive, neat shut-in like you to my little brother! I respect him too much.
OMG! How can you be so cold? How can you be so intent on shooting us down before we've even had a chance to launch? We could be the best couple of all time.
I don't doubt that there's a lovely woman out there somewhere who'd make a perfect wife for him. But the one thing I am certain of is that it's not you.
You're the cruelest person I've ever met. Your words, they pierce my heart like a blade.
Cruel is fine by me. The only reason you're interested in him is because you're so desperate to get out of having to work. I wouldn't introduce my brother to an idle, greasy slob like you if you were the last woman on Earth. I'd rather he marry a monkey. At least a monkey would leave the house.
How could you? Here I am, finally trying to turn my life around just like you told me to, and this is how you treat me? I'm really trying. I'm doing my best here. We wouldn't even be having this conversation if not for you. The least you could do is help me.
Your efforts are misdirected, and there's no way I'll be a part of this lunacy. Why can't you just be a normal and get a job or find someone who will date you willingly? There are 1,000,001 ways to meet guys, if that's what you want. Blind dating events, dating sites, bars, take your pick.
I don't have time for things like that.
Not my problem. Ugh. The bottom line is, you're not marrying my brother. You better stay away from him.
Ugh.
He's not interested in you at all. Please, do not go near him again. I'm asking you nicely here.
Sonia! Help! She's here!
What?
Veronica! She came back! She just barged into the office cosplaying as an anime character again!
What?
I'm at work today. The plan was to tag along with the boss while he went out into the car to conduct some house calls. Just as I was waiting by the entrance getting ready to leave, she sprinted over out of nowhere and started yelling some weird crap. Something like marriage breath type 1. She looked ready to pounce me at any second.
Oh my.
Thankfully, security was all over her like a rash, and they pulled her into the holding room where they're watching her like a hawk as we speak. The only reason I didn't call the police is because she's family.
No, call the police.
What? Really?
Listen, I actually told the in-laws, her parents, about what happened yesterday. It turns out they're very much aware of her issues, and they said if she ever does anything like that again, they're happy for you to call the police on her, no questions asked. Oh, I am so sorry for all the trouble, but if she does it again, please don't hesitate to call the cops. She needs to know that actions have consequences.
Got it.
Sonia, how could you? Why do you tell Brett it was okay to call the police? I may only be your sister-in-law, but that still makes me your sister. Not only that, but I'm still your little brother's future wife. How could you do this to me?
Are you still harping on about this? My brother is not marrying you.
Yes, he is.
He hasn't looked at you in that way even once, I assure you. In fact, I'm pretty sure he genuinely would rather marry a monkey. Just give up.
How can you be so sure? We haven't even gotten to know each other yet. The plan was to go on a date and woo him with my feminine charm. Stop getting in my way.
Cut the crap, Veronica. I've had enough.
Huh?
It's time I told you a truth that will yank you back down to reality out of this twisted fantasy world you live in. My little brother has a 30-year-old girlfriend.
Huh? 30? That means she's older than him. Why can she date him but I can't, you hypocrite?
Because they're both willing participants in the relationship. They met when she was his teacher back in high school. He told me he fell for her kind, dignified, warm personality, and said that he was always just so at ease and content when they were together. He spent 2 years going on the attack after he graduated school, and now they're an official couple. This is what people mean when they say, when you truly love someone, age is just a number. Not constantly showing up at someone's work in cosplay outfits like some psycho stalker!
Aha! I see! If Brett has a thing for older ladies, that means I might actually be in with a chance!
I thought you might have had a screw loose at first, but I'm starting to think they all fell out a long time ago.
Huh? What does that mean?
Relationships and marriage can only exist on the foundation of mutual consent. You can't force someone to want to be with you. How can you possibly think this insane way of interacting with people could ever work?
But...
Goodbye. My, oh my. That was quite the little episode, wasn't it? I have no idea how much of what I said she actually understood. I don't know whether it was due to her already having been warned by the police or finding out Brett had a girlfriend bringing her back down to reality, but she finally gave up on her maniacal pursuit of my little brother. However, the in-laws, Veronica's parents, were faced with the painful realization that they bore some responsibility for their daughter's questionable lifestyle choices because they'd always spoiled her. She was exiled to live with a distant relative who ran a monastery, whose catchphrase was, "Fasting and prayer are life's greatest joys." She vowed to instill some discipline into the wayward child, and Veronica's daily life came to consist of 5 a.m. starts, followed by rigorous exercise and scripture study. She did protest her exile, insisting she couldn't go due to the final edition of Demon Slayer being due for release the following week. But her mom, who was usually calm and docile, scared the life out of her, shrieking like a banshee, "You are going and that's final!" I guess everyone's patience has its limits. She was forced into the back of her dad's car while bawling her eyes out. Like a lamb to the slaughter. Hey, Agatha. It's been a really long time. It's me, Charlotte.
What? Charlotte? Is that really you? My goodness, how many years has it been? I haven't heard from you at all since you left the orphanage and got married. You never even came back to see me. You had me worried. How are you?
I'm okay. Well, actually, I'm not okay at all.
Why not? What's wrong?
Listen, Agatha, the thing is, I got kicked out of the house.
What? Kicked out?
I'm at the police station near the train station right now. They're letting me use one of their phone chargers. I was so desperate to contact you. I feel so embarrassed having to ask you this. But can I come back to the orphanage? I have nowhere to go after being kicked out. There's nowhere else I can stay and no one else I can turn to. I don't even know where I'm gonna sleep tonight.
Oh, Charlotte, you poor thing. Of course you can. I'll have someone come out to pick you up immediately. Just stay where you are, okay?
Thank you so much.
What exactly do you mean when you say you got kicked out? This is all such a shock. Were things not going well at home? What the devil happened?
My husband Dexter and his parents used to be so unbelievably kind to me. I felt like the luckiest girl in the world to have such wonderful people in my life. Until we got married. When we did, he asked me to quit my job so I could stay at home and support him. It didn't sound so bad at the time, but he asked me to move in with him and his parents. And that was when everything changed. All of a sudden, his mom and dad, who up until then had been the kindest people I'd ever met, started treating me like dirt. It was like living with demons. They said I was obliged to be their family servant because they, to quote them, gave my miserable life meaning by adopting me. They forced me to work like a dog every single day, from 3 a.m. in the morning to 12 midnight. I wasn't even allowed to take a break to sit down. All of my clothes and personal belongings from before I got married were either sold or thrown away. For no reason, I'd be ordered to get on my knees in front of them all of a sudden, and they'd all take turns yelling at me. If there was ever something they didn't like, they'd just throw away my food or personal belongings. If I ever complained, they'd yell at how I should just be grateful I'm not an orphan anymore.
Oh my god, Charlotte.
Today, Dexter brought home some young girl. What use are you if you can't even have kids? You're an abject failure, you barren wasteland of a woman. You had a duty to provide me with sons, how dare you? You ungrateful witch. We should have just left you in an orphanage. These were just some of the things he yelled at me in front of his new girlfriend. When he was done making me feel like I wanted to curl up and die, he told me they were getting married and ordered me to leave. He basically kicked me out with nothing but the clothes on my back. I lost 10 kilograms due to stress since I moved in with them. He rejected me every time I tried to go near him. I can't even look at you as a woman, you're hideous, was his usual reaction.
Oh my god! I can't believe you went through all this. As if bullying and emotionally abusing you wasn't enough, he cheated on you as well? No way! Was the reason I didn't hear from you since you got married because they confiscated your cell phone?
No, ironically, my cell phone was the only thing I did keep. I hid it because I didn't want them to sell that too. You gave it to me as a present when I left the orphanage, and it was the only thing I had that reminded me of you. There was no way I was gonna let them take it from me. I didn't have a charger though. The reason I couldn't contact you all this time was because my battery was dead. The first thing I did after he booted me out was to look for somewhere I could charge my phone. So that's how I'm able to message you now.
Oh god, what have they done to you, Charlotte? He will not get away with this.
I'm so sorry to trouble you like this. Ugh, it's so embarrassing to have to rely on you like this despite being in my 20s now. Even if it's just until I can find a new job and somewhere to live. Please, can I live at the orphanage again for a little while? I'll do chores, odd jobs, help look after the younger children, anything.
Don't be so silly. You don't have anything to apologize for. I'll always see you as my own daughter, and you'll always be welcome at the orphanage. If you want to come home, you can come home whenever you want to. What kind of mother would I be if I said anything otherwise?
Agatha.
Whether you find yourself to live or not, you can stay for as many months, or as many years as you like. This orphanage is your home. I'm an old dear, well into my 70s now, so it's probably more appropriate to call me your grandma than your mom. But I'll always be here for you, Charlotte. Never forget that.
Thank you so much.
I'll run you a nice hot bath and cook you some meatloaf and apple pie and custard. You only have one job when you get here, and that's to relax, unwind, and forget about all the horrible stuff you've been through. Leave the rest to me. Good evening, Dexter. It's been a while. This is Agatha, the headmistress of the orphanage Charlotte grew up in. She just contacted me in great distress. It seems like we have some things to discuss. She told me everything about how you and your parents have been treating her like less than human, like your own personal slave since the moment you got married. On top of that, you cheated on her, brought your lover home and kicked Charlotte on the streets, didn't you? Tell me, did you ever think you were going to get away with such despicable behavior? It's obvious you've seen my messages. I can see the red marks, you know. If you can muster up the courage, you're free to respond at any time.
Shut your mouth, you old hag! I don't know a frickin' thing about any of this crap. That psycho is just fantasizing. She's crazy, I tell you.
You only have to look at her to see it's all true. She's emaciated and has huge bags under her eyes. She's in a constant state of anxiety and fear. All it takes is a door opening to make her jump out of her skin. How does that happen to a girl who was once so fit and healthy, so outgoing, vibrant, and bubbly? She was a picture of health when she left the orphanage. She barely weighs 40 kilograms now. Her clothes were all tattered and worn out, and she hardly even had any personal belongings.
Like I told you, I don't know nothing about any of this. Anyway, even if I did do something to her, she was a miserable orphan and me and my folks were kind enough to adopt her. Which means we can treat her however we goddamn want to.
Excuse me? Are you being serious right now?
Besides, what the heck does it have to do with you? You ain't Charlotte's mom, you ain't her gran. You're just some wrinkled up old hag sat on a high horse who thinks she can scare me. Something bad might happen if you don't learn to stay out of other people's business. You catch my drift, lady?
I'm very disappointed in you, Dexter. You seemed so sweet and kind when you came to introduce yourself before the wedding. I'm actually disappointed in myself for not seeing right through you. As Charlotte's guardian, I have a duty to make you pay for what you've done, and pay you will. Are you prepared for the hell that's coming your way?
Oh, I'm quaking in my boots. What's some wrinkled up old hag gonna do to me? You gonna chase me on your Zimmer frame? Write me a sternly worded letter? If you want to do this, then let's do this. You want to get taken down, lady?
Great, it's settled then. I'll make sure you remember what you just said to me.
Hey, Charlotte! What the hell did that old hag do? You got any idea how much trouble you're in, girl? You just goddamn wait! Answer me! I know you're looking.
Good morning, Dexter. This is the old hag. What can I do for you?
I ain't interested in talking to you, hag! Put me on to Charlotte now!
Charlotte's been looking after the children right now. But even if she wasn't busy, I wouldn't let you speak to her in a million years. What do you want? Make it quick. You seem to be in quite the panic. Anyone would think you received a court summons or something.
Aha! I knew it was you! You're gonna pay for this, mark my words, hag! The heck are you two trying to pull? You're dragging me into court like some criminal! On what charges? I ain't done nothing!
It was patently obvious Charlotte was going to take you to court after the way you behaved. You've been summoned to take part in the divorce mediation on countless occasions by now. But you ignored the call every single time. You didn't show up to even a single meeting, did you? As a result, the mediation ended in failure, which means she had no choice but to take you to divorce court. Anyone could have seen this coming. If you'd have just come to the meetings, none of this would have been happening.
Ugh, don't come at me with this legal jargon thinking you're all clever. I ain't playing your silly games, hag! Why the hell should I have to go out of my way to go to court to deal with some miserable orphan's emotional issues? I ain't no shrink! If you got business with me, then you come to me. I'm a busy guy. You get me?
Oh dear, you seem to be suffering from a severe deficient intelligence. You don't have to come if you don't want to, you know, if your time's so valuable and you really can't make it. Don't you worry yourself one bit. All that means is that you'll owe Charlotte $60,000 in compensation.
You what?
As a rule, if you don't show up to the trial, you lose the case by default, which means that you're obligated to pay the full amount of the claimant's requested compensation without even getting the chance to defend yourself. Let's face it though, even if you did show up to try and defend yourself, you still wouldn't have a leg to stand on.
What? Why not?
It just so happens that one of the children I raised in this orphanage is now a very successful lawyer. His area of expertise also just so happens to be divorce law. All it would take is one phone call. I do hate the idea of causing him a nuisance, but I get the feeling he'd drop everything if he had to help me in my time of need. Thinking about everything you did to her. Harassment, bullying, cheating, stealing. As well as all the rest, this clearly isn't a fight you can win.
Whatever! This crap just ain't gonna stand up. It ain't got no legs. Harassment, cheating? I ain't got the foggiest idea what you're talking about. I ain't that kind of guy. If you ain't got proof, then you're nothing but a doof.
Well, now that you mention it, I also just so happen to have a friend who runs a private investigation agency. One phone call was all it took. I have enough proof to take you to court 10 times over. To give some specific examples, how about bringing your lover back home to flaunt her in front of your wife, despite the fact you're still very much married? It seems like you're known as quite the womanizing sleazeball around the neighborhood, too. I heard some very interesting stories. Not just the cheating either. Surprisingly, they even knew about the abuse, too. Do you ever get the feelings your neighbors avoid you?
Huh?
Another one of the girls who grew up in the orphanage became a doctor. Charlotte went in for an examination at her practice and provided me with documentation on all of the physical damage you've caused her, all permissible as evidence in court. Do you understand now? We're certainly not going to struggle proving anything. Nothing you could possibly say will get you out of the 200-meter hole you dug yourself into.
You're lying! Ain't no way any of this is true. You expect me to believe a miserable orphan like her can afford to hire lawyers and private investigators? Oh, don't make me laugh. She ain't got the money to take me down.
It's true. You and your parents did steal all of her money and leave her with nothing. Which is why I'm paying for everything.
You're doing what? Why the heck you gonna use good money on some waste of space with no parents? She ain't even blood to you. You gotta be kidding me. Ain't no one that stupid.
Whether we're related by blood or not means nothing to me. I raised her as if she was my own daughter. She's my family and I love her. What other reason do I need than that she's family? There's nothing I wouldn't do to protect her.
God freaking damn it, alright fine. You win, I'll apologize. She can have all her stuff back. I'll even give her some money to show I'm sorry, alright? We'll be square then, won't we?
Do you seriously think you're getting off that lightly? Don't be so ridiculous. If we're going to do this, and we are going to do this, then we're going to do it properly. No one lays their hands on my daughter and gets away with it. You're going to regret being born when I'm finished with you, boy. Surely you knew this would happen when you decided to victimize and abuse my Charlotte. Surely you weren't stupid enough to believe there'd be no consequences.
What? You threatening me?
I might not look much, but believe it or not, I used to be the CEO of a major company. My son took over when I retired, and he's running the show these days. I still talk to him regularly when he needs help with management-related things. I'm kind of like his personal advisor.
So what? You think I care about some crappy company?
Did you know that crabby company is your company's biggest client?
Say what?
I made a few recommendations to my son at the time you two got married, after I found out you worked in the same industry as us. As a result, he turned down some very generous offers from other companies in favor of establishing a major trading contract with yours. At the time, I thought I was doing a good thing by making a gesture towards my son-in-law, but clearly I made a mistake. I think it's time my son terminated the contract. It's not like it was ever in a particularly profitable contract for us, and to be honest, I regret allowing my personal affairs to get mixed up with my professional life.
Wait, what? What?
Don't get too excited yet, I'm not finished. Next, there's the company your dad works at. Another one of the boys who grew up in my orphanage happens to be the CEO of his company's parent company. Well, I say boy, but he's 50 now.
No, wait! You're going after my freaking dad now? No, wait, you can't!
Oh, one more thing. You and your parents rent your house, don't you? You're not going to believe this. The coincidences are almost piling up too high now. But I also happen to be friends with a major real estate magnate. And you'll never guess whose house he owns. Yep, I could even make the phone call this evening. Which angle do you think we should go for? Refusal to renew? Mandatory eviction? Can you imagine if I made phone calls to all of my friends about you? Can you imagine how far you'd fall? I'm thinking you hit rock bottom before you even realized what was going on.
Oh my god, don't! Don't, please!
Let me spell it out. If I do decide to take revenge on you, you will lose all that you hold dear. You'll be lucky if you even get to keep the clothes on your back. Your blood will run cold with terror and you will be plunged into the depths of despair, hopelessness, and suffering. Doesn't that sound nice?
Please, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, I mean it!
Don't you think you're apologizing to the wrong person? And by text, really? Don't you think it'd be more appropriate to get yourself down here and beg for forgiveness on your hands and knees?
Yeah, you're right. I'm so sorry. I promise I ain't ever gonna do anything like this again. I never thought it would come to this.
Your luck ran out when you made the fatal error of taking me for some harmless old woman. I'm not trying to brag, but I have friends in high places. Exterminating a wretched little worm like you would be child's play.
I'm so sorry, really. I'm so sorry. Please don't do it.
We'll be continuing this conversation in court through our lawyers. Goodbye. Immediately after that, Dexter and his parents rushed down to the orphanage in an attempt to apologize for their behavior. But the time for apologies has passed, and they were delusional to think otherwise. I told them they could apologize in court and sent them on their way. They would accept it and sat down on the floor outside the orphanage like petulant children, leaving me with no choice but to call the police. They quickly stood up and hightailed it out of there when they realized who I was on the phone, too. Obviously, Charlotte won the trial. Dexter and his lover were ordered to pay a combined total of $75,000 in compensation. In order to come with the money, he and his parents were forced to move out of the house and sell all of their personal belongings. To add insult to injury, his lover, furious about being dragged into such a catastrophic situation, broke up with him no sooner than the trial was over. Now, last I heard, Dexter and his parents are living in an apartment so cramped and tiny they're like rats huddled together in a cage. Between his company losing their biggest trading partner as a result of a few choice words of advice to my son, and his reputation as an abusive scumbag circulating around the office, his work life is now a living hell. I was astonished he didn't get fired, but in a way, this is actually more satisfying. He deserves everything he gets, so I can't say I feel bad for him. Charlotte's gradually returning to her old, vibrant, bubbly self while living at the orphanage. She's helping me out by looking after the children and doing various odd jobs while recuperating. Here's to the start of Charlotte's new life. She deserves to be happy.